Hello, welcome to the McGill Hive live session. I am Maria Escurra. Today we're going to be working with watercolor. We're going to be painting, but watercolor can be tricky. It's a great media, but also you need to understand how it works. So the first painting or activity we're going to do is, well, to start with, I have a nice thick paper. You could be working with you could be working with white printing paper, but it may wrinkle a bit because of the water. If you have access to a bit of a thicker paper like this, it might be best. So also another option, I'm working on the table, but you could also wet your paper a bit or just dry attach it to the table or another piece of wood with some tape. That will avoid it from getting wrinkled too much. So once you have the paper, I'm going to get the paint. You also, in this case, my watercolor are like these little pastes, but you can also get it as painting, and then you could put it on a tray and then add water as accordingly or as you need. But I suggest let's start making circles and try to see how it works with different amounts of water. We can make it like thick by putting a lot of paint, as I'm doing now, and not a lot of water, and then start dissolving it and adding a bit more water and see how it works. And also what happens when you start like letting different parts of the painting touch each other. So I suggest you just kind of allow yourself to play with the material, get to know it, and enjoy the process. Watercolor, it's like a very, like the relationship with it is like very personal in a way, you know. You need to really feel it in the paper, feel it in the brush and in your hand. So it will leave a lot of like traces. You can really see the trace that each brush stroke was going to leave, and that is good. But if you like paintings that seem like much more even and flat, then maybe what you could do, in this case for example, I had more paint and you could see the strokes. But now I'm going to add more water, make another one, and try to make it look a bit more even. You can also apply it on with layers. So this will be a bit more even, but it's thinner. And now, for example, I have a darker green, so I could add some little spots and also try to mix it in the paper a bit. So for example, I could have a darker edge. Now let's go for another one. I'm going to try to make this much paint, put more paint and keep it like thick. And I'm going to allow it to touch the other one and also see what happens when we connect the two figures. You will see that part is beautiful because then the painting starts like mixing a bit. And of course I move it so it's happening even more, but like allowing that process of getting the painting mix is also very interesting. You don't have to do it, you can just keep it like this. And now this one is a bit dry, so in this case I could paint, for example, a new one on top of it. The part that is touching was going to be darker because it's thicker, but the paint that I already apply and that is dry, it will stay there. So I can work on this first one with just maybe greens and maybe blues and see how, as I said, it's very important to understand how the paint behaves and to embrace like unexpected things when you're doing it. So instead of trying to do a figure, this time is more like an abstract painting in which I am not trying to control everything that happens in the painting, but mostly to let it happen. And enjoy the process. As I said, it's something very, very enjoyable about making watercolor. So now we can again like allow the edges to touch a bit and see what happens. Remember, I'm doing this live, so if you have questions or comments, suggestions, just write it down and I will be very happy to try to help you with that. So again, it's how they start getting mixed is beautiful. I'm going to use the same blue, but maybe with much more water and see how it goes. Then you see it's a very, very pale color. But I'm going to let it touch the other one. And that's again, it's really like opening this channel in which the painting is like we are inviting one color to the new section. It's almost like letting them touch is almost like an invitation. I think it's a nice way to see it. Okay, we have this other blue, which is a bit more intense. And we can let it touch two of the circles. I can go for the first one, but I put a lot of paint. Actually, it's almost as a marker when you put a lot of paint. It doesn't move much around the paper, it stays there. And you can actually use it also for making like dots. What kind of brush also really makes a difference on what you're making. The first one I used actually had like a flat point and I realized it wasn't the best for doing circles. I like this one better for making circles. So now, for example, I made these 3 dots. I'm going to take a clean brush, it just has water, and see what happens if I just drop some water in the center. I need more. I must confess, I'm afraid to ruin it, but I shouldn't. As I said in these sessions, like taking risks. So, well, the thing is I have this very thick drop of water there. It's really staying there. So now I have to extend it. So I'm going to use the brush with the flat side. And again, let it touch. Because the other ones are still wet, maybe some of the paint will go from one side to the other. So again, watercolor offers a lot of possibilities, but I think the most important part of it is to get to know the media and the possibilities it offers, and also how it works for you. So now we can do some, it's also very nice, watercolor, you can paint some things, then let it dry and then paint on top of it, and also you can draw with a pencil or a pen or a marker. you could draw things, so you can have like a body, and then the details that might be hard to do with painting can be done just with, then I'm going to take some blue, yeah, with other media of which you have more control or you're more familiar with. Okay, now let's do the blue here. So yeah, also how you apply it, I mean in this case I'm applying it in kind of circles, but also the paper is getting a bit wrinkled, so that also is helping the paint to go into different directions. But again, that gives it like a very nice organic look that I really enjoy. So let me see, now I have some blue. Not really, painting is not really my media. I can paint, but I consider myself mostly a sculptor, and well, I draw because it's my way of thinking. So again, I am trying, more than showing like all the skills, I'm trying to get to know this media here with you, and all the possibilities that it can give us. And now we can continue trying to use it for making like more specific things. So here you can see the green dot or circle was dry, so now I am being able to add some color on top of it. We can continue with, I'm going to jump to yellow, and again I can, because these ones are dry, for example, I can apply the yellow on top and see, for example, like how the transparencies of the colors, also because the yellow is a bit lighter, so this is a beautiful aspect of watercolor, like it can get translucent, like the different layers of color you can create. So I can also add some yellow here. This is still a bit wet, but not too much. See how it changes. And let's make another yellow one here. And for example, I can adding more water in the figure I am drawing. It's going to be lighter towards one side than the other. So again, how instead of with other media like pencil or pastels, like it's the amount of pressure you apply what defines like how thick the color or strong is going to be. In this case is the amount of water. If you add more water, then the color gets more clear. If not, it's as similar as you can see it in your palette. And in this case I hope still wet on this side, because I can actually try to make it a bit stronger by adding a bit of an orange touch, very softly, almost as a shadow on the side. And we can continue with the orange, as I already started with it. And let's see what happens if we mix the orange with the green and the blue. In this case, yeah. So I like these little channels that the water with the paint finds. It finds its way, and again, that gives like a very nice organic touch to the work that I really like. Now here I painted some lines, but they might seem a bit strong compared to the rest, so now I can just keep adding water. It's not completely dry, so the lines are still there, but they are like looking more translucent. They're dissolving a bit without completely disappearing. Okay, we can make another. We can do the same, the circle I did there with, I think this is a nice brown. Yeah, I love this color. It's like this ceramic brown, like the color of the earth. And we can try to use this one that it's a bit darker for another layer outside, or for the center maybe. And see how it starts like expanding. I think I'm going to make a few more, and then as I'm feeling a bit more familiar with the material, with the media, I hope you are more familiar as well. We can start a second one in which we can try to represent something a bit more specific. Okay, so we can try, for example, some little dots. See how they work with the, how they blend or not. And where I can see, maybe in the camera it's hard, but I can still see which parts still have water, so I can decide or not if I want to add some more paint to those parts. I like this, again, let it find its way through the paper still. So I think I'm going to put this on the side, let it have a little break, and continue a new one, start a new one. And then we can come back to this one. Okay, so now we could try to paint something a bit more, I don't know, something that we could distinguish. So I'm going to do the circle again. I like that, maybe the idea of the sun. And from there, see, maybe we could do a landscape, for example. But still will be like very organic, and I don't want to lose like this freedom, like this permit I am giving myself of like play with it, try to understand it, make mistakes, not look for perfection, but mostly like really try to enjoy the process. Like we could have a second session in which, when we feel more familiar and comfortable with the media, we can try to create more things. So I'm doing my sun. Always making perfect circles is a challenge, but maybe it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. Unlike the other one, it can have a bit of a more, like a bit of orange on the edge. And with water, I can use it to try to merge a bit some of the colors. Okay, and now what I want to do, if I want to make this kind of a landscape, I can start making lines that could be clouds or even some kind of ocean. So we can start playing maybe with some sorts of blue, but I will try to go from a very light blue. So I'm using these with a lot of water because I don't have a light blue, I just have these two. So I'm going to try not to touch the sun because in this case I don't want the blue to merge with the orange. I can try, I can let the blue merge with other colors, but not with the sun. So oops, that was very thick. Okay, now let's just take advantage of that. So again, like we're making lines, trying to play with the tones and the thickness of them. I'm trying to keep my pulse as steady as I can. And now I can keep adding water to make some lighter than others. Okay, some more water here. Once you also discover like a form, in this case were circles, now there are lines, and then again you don't start, like you don't have to worry about, sometimes the hardest part in art is like making choices, like important big choices. So once you know, okay, I'm going to be making a series of lines in different blues or something, then I don't know, you can allow yourself like to relax a bit more and just like enjoy the process. Sometimes making the choices is actually the funniest part. It depends on how we're feeling each day, what kind of art we're making, what's the purpose of making it. Sometimes we make art to express an idea or an emotion. Sometimes it's a way of like looking at things around us. Sometimes it's like a way of getting things calm inside us, and sometimes it's a form of letting them go outside. Sometimes it's a form of sharing with others, ideas, experience, even time. It can be a form of research, a form of making community. So of course, depending on how we want to make, or the purpose we're trying to give to our art activity each day, the kind of art we make might change. And sometimes it doesn't always need to have a purpose. That's also sometimes its purpose is not having a purpose. Let's start using another blue, playing a bit with the different tones. Okay, so this I guess could be the ocean, and now we can make some other textures or figures here. Of course, if it's the ocean and I want to be very realistic, I think the water will be covering a bit the sun, and also we'll see some yellow or orange reflections in the water. Maybe now when it gets dry, we could try to do that. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure, but I'm willing to give it a try. And now for our sky, maybe we can keep playing with the orange and the yellow. Maybe some red or pink, like a beautiful sunset. And see how it goes. I'm just thinking maybe I can use a different brush. Yes, I have this nice wide brush. Let's give it a try. Hopefully it works. We will see. Actually, I'm feeling like trying it in another piece of paper, just in case. Yeah, it will be fine. Okay. It got very dark. Let me just put some light here. Yes. I guess we will have a storm. Okay. So the problem with this one is not getting a lot of water, but it's fine. I will do like the lines, and then I will add the colors, so in that way I'm mixing them directly in the paper. But this brush is not working very well. I'm probably going to change soon to something that I can control a bit more. Although I like the lines that it's creating. But yeah, we will change. I can keep it flat. The other one was round, but something a bit thinner. Yeah. So again, here it has an end, it's a bit longer than the other, so if I want to go like around the sun, I can take advantage of the fact that I can play with the direction that the brush has for the stroke. And this is working well, so now I can continue. Now I'm turning it around because it's actually I wanted to have a different direction. And now I will mix the orange maybe with some pink. And let's see how it goes. More water. And a bit more. And I will, maybe in the lines in between, we can play with the yellow and see how it goes. then it start like they start integrating the lines, but also having like, because the paper is wrinkling, like again you get like these. I'm starting to get what I was mentioning, the water, it's going in directions that maybe I didn't necessarily want. For this kind of drawing, it's fine, it works well, but if you're doing something like you really want to control, then having the water going to sections that you didn't choose is not the best thing. So for that you have to avoid having the paper getting wrinkled, and then as I said, you can use less water, like let it dry a bit between each stage, or also try to paste it on the base, like to use tape. There is like special tape that you have to make wet to attach it to the, I don't remember the name, I can write it down in the comments later. Okay, now I have some white. With the white, let's try to create some white spot, like to give like this cloudy effect, and see how it goes. The problem with the watercolor is at some point, if you don't know when to stop, it can start getting messy. It might happen here, and it's good because in that way we can see together what we shouldn't do. Okay, so I like it more where the lines don't really touch, because I felt I have more control on what was happening. In this case, I started letting the lines touch and the colors blend. It works well for the sky, but of course at some point I started feeling worried because I wasn't controlling very much what was happening in my drawing. I will just add a bit more of like intense orange at the bottom, as I have on this side, to make it look even. And see also, I mean, I hope it melts well, it won't get too messy. Okay. So we have these two. Now we can make a third one in which we will make some spots and then try to create, like draw figures on top of them. I need to get my markers. For example, I saw an example of how to make jellyfishes or cats. The cats was like a very nice activity. We could also be making dogs. So let's do that. Okay. So for that, I need, I'm going to use this one that is bigger, thicker, and hopefully will allow me to make like a, with like less brush strokes, like the forms I want. So I'm going to start with some brown, and for the cats I need more color. Okay, so for example we can make what will be the head, the body, and the tail. Maybe it's a bit pale, so I will just add a bit more. Okay, and let it dry. It doesn't have ears. Perfect. Now let's make another one. This one is looking, I don't know, we cannot see what it is, so like it's giving, it's backwards. Now we can make another cat that is sleeping. I cannot see cats, but let's, so they usually like around like this, then the head and the little ears, and now the body. tail. Okay. And as I said, we're coming back and finish it later when it's dry. We can make another one. Let me try to use this other brown. Maybe we could try to even simplify it more. We can make an oval and see how we can like finish it later with the pen or the marker. Sorry, it's a bit dry, so I just wanted to make a nice oval here. And the tail can actually be even within in the same part. This can be our tail. Another one standing up. So now we need to make 4 legs. We can start by the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the body. One ear, the other one. A nice big body and the tail. It's even as silhouettes, I think I like them. I mean, we can try to draw something very, very simple, but I think as silhouettes, this tail is a bit transparent. Let's just make it a bit more visible. Now it's better. And we can make a last cat. I'm trying to think and also see if I find a picture, because I cannot see a cat in front of me right now, but it's fine. They're so simple that we can really try to imagine what we're making. So let's make a last one, also sitting down. There's a drawing activity that maybe we can do on Friday, which is about like trying to draw figures with just like one form, like a big mass, no details, and that of course reminded me of that. Let's make a fluffy tail. Good. Okay. It's still a bit wet to try to draw on it, but let's try in one of the figures that are a bit more dry. Where is my marker? I'm going to use one permanent marker because I'm afraid that the other markers, I could use a pencil, maybe a pencil, yeah. But otherwise the other markers will like dissolve with the water and they might end up running around the paper, and I really don't want that. But I have these nice pencils that I'm sure will work very well for this. These are drawing pencils, and some of them like this one are very, very soft. So they are almost like charcoal, so they are very nice for making drawings. Okay, so this one, for example, that I think is the one that is more dry. We only have an oval, so we have to make it a cat by drawing on it. So we can make the nose. This is it can be sleeping, and then the ears, and then maybe the leg, the tail. I'm actually making more detail than I wanted to, but there you have like a sleeping cat, all within the oval form that we initially created. Then well, this one I wanted to have it looking backwards, so I don't think I should add anything to this one. But this one that is kind of having a nap, we can try to make here we can have one eye, the other one the nose, and then the ears. And that's all. I mean, you don't really, I mean, you can keep adding things, but I like it more like this. Here I made more elements that probably I needed to put. And then maybe this one is looking backward, but this can be looking towards us. When we make silhouettes, you can decide if you want to look towards, like, what direction you want to give it. So we can make one eye, the other. And then the nose. And here it has just the legs. And we're going to finish with this one. Again, we can the eyes. Here we have, and you can do this, I mean, this was cats, but you can do it with dogs, with plants, with people, with anything you want. You can just use watercolor to create these beautiful, like, little spots, form shapes, and then finish it with a pencil, a pen, any media you feel you might help you with the drawing. So that was all for today. Here we have our 3 watercolor activities. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday. Thank you so much. Bye.